want to talk about 3 different ways of using Siser heat transfer vinyls. I want to show you the ease of use with our product called EasyWeed. For those that aren't familiar with our EasyWeed heat transfer vinyl, it is, well, I'm going to show you, but it's very versatile, and I want to show you some tips and tricks of speeding up your weeding process, as well as showing you the ease of use when you're layering different colors. I'm also going to show you mixing different Siser products together in the same exact design. Then I'm going to show you what a lot of people don't, they kind of defy what we say. So we do have a product or products that we do not recommend layering on. So we have a method we call the knockout method, to where it gives the illusion that it's layered, but they're actually kind of pieced inside each other and all applied on the garment. So I'm going to do 3 applications for this first part. So what I'm doing first is I have 5 different EasyWeed colors before me, which were cut on the silhouette already. So the next step is weeding. So before I get going, again, for those that might not be familiar with our products at all, or just heat transfer vinyl in general, you have to remember, when you send your design over to your silhouette, make sure you send it mirrored. So, or reversed, or however you want to say it. So it's going to be basically backwards when you cut it, so when you go to apply it, it looks correct. So once you have your cut pieces ready to go, the next step is going to be weeding, or removing the excess material or the negative space. So many different words for it. And all it takes is piercing the corner of your cut piece and simply removing it off of the backing. Now the thing about EasyWeed, the big benefit, or any of the EasyWeed family, is it has a pressure sensitive backing. So it has a sticky backing, which makes it really nice in case you have cut issues where you might have any problem with anything lifting up. You can lay it right back down. But the other big benefit of it being pressure sensitive and a quick release is when you are working with your heat press. So unfortunately, if you have a home iron and that's what you're using, you can't really do this trick. But when you have your heat press ready to go, right now I have mine turned on to 305 degrees, which is where you'll be at for EasyWeed. What you're going to do is you're going to close your heat press and let it sit on the lower platen for a little bit. I got to bring the pressure down. So this is your heating element. So you do not want to touch that upper platen. All right, so I'm going to close it for a couple seconds. That upper platen is going to warm the lower platen. And now this lower platen is going to retain that heat. So it's going to just stay warm. What I'm going to do is take my cut piece of EasyWeed, lay it on there, and now I can simply just peel it without ease. I know this is a simple spot, but we're going to cruise all 5 of these colors by showing just the heat press trick. Again, this is just a time saver. I know there's probably people in this class that actually do enjoy weeding, and that's okay. I'm not a big fan. I like speeding up the process. So just to warm this up for a little bit. Now, it is also important to make sure your cut is good, because this is a prime example of where it could be a problem if your cut isn't good, because you might get lifting. All right, so we have all 5 of our EasyWeed colors weeded. It's good to go now. So now we're ready for our application portion. So what we're going to do is, because we're going to apply all these designs on one garment. I know the placement's going to look goofy because, again, I'm going to put 3 different designs on here. So what you want to do is find your placement on your heat press. So all I did was thread it. You want to make sure you have flat, even pressure when you're pressing this. It's very important. So even if you're using a home iron, make sure that your temperature is to the correct temperature, but you also have to remember that you can't just set it down and iron it like you're ironing out wrinkles. You actually have to still apply force and count the duration that you need to and do it in sections. It's very, very important you do this because it's going to uphold in the wash. Now with the heat press, you have the option of actually setting your pressure with this pressure knob here. So the more you turn it clockwise, it's going to increase the pressure. Counterclockwise is going to decrease the pressure. And I know it's still a little bit different from each person using it, but you still want to make sure when you close it that you have some force to lock it in place. And I know from here I am at a good pressure for Easy Weed, so you have to use your best judgment for that. Also make sure with whatever you're pressing on, you do not have your seams, so the collar, the seams of your sleeves, if you have buttons, if you have pockets, make sure those are out of the way because that's going to cause uneven pressure, which will cause any of your transfer to potentially fall off in the wash. So once we have that good to go, you want to preheat it like I did for a couple seconds. That's going to take out the wrinkles and moisture. So I'm going to start with my first color. And perform, again, benefit of the heat press. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the home iron, but another benefit when working with anything with the Easy Weed family and a heat press with proper pressure and layering colors is you can simply 1 second tack and peel hot. So this is a huge benefit when you are doing multiple colors. Again, I am applying 5 colors on top of one another. So the problem is when it's a larger image like this and you're using a home iron, it might take longer. You may experience shrinking of the garment because of the heat. With the 1 second tack, it doesn't give it the heat enough time to really manipulate the garment. So it doesn't mean that it's actually completely adhered to the garment, because if I wash that after 1 second, it would probably fall right off. So I'm going to line up my second color directly on my bottom layer and do the exact same thing. 1 second tack, peel hot. Yes, I know I'm probably being called out for not having a cover sheet. Absolutely use a piece of parchment paper or something for your upper platen. This is going to protect your upper platen for whatever else you're doing, because I know for my garment or my heat press here, I am only using heat transfer vinyl on it. I know some of you might be using yours for sublimation. You might be using it for other forms of ink. That's when you want to be careful. But yes, use a cover sheet, 1 second tack, peel hot. Now, if you have questions about what product is a hot peel, what is a cold peel, again, on that app I told you to download, the Siser Heat Transfer, Siser HTV app you can get on your phone, it's going to tell you each product and whether they're a hot or cold peel. Basically, just know anything with Easy Weed is a hot or cold peel. So if you have Easy Weed Stretch, Easy Weed Electric, Easy Weed Glow in the Dark, any of the Easy Weed family, you can do a hot peel with it. All right, so this is my 5th and final layer. Now, I have to still press this for the full duration, which is about 10 to 12 seconds, but now I know some of you may have experienced this with your projects of layering. Now, if you have a top layer that's going over a bottom layer and you have the carrier sheet is going over that bottom layer and you see that indentation, that's because you're pressing that edge of the carrier sheet into that bottom layer, and it is going to cause it to leave that indentation. So if you don't want to do that, or don't want that to happen, again, just simply do the 1 second tack and peel hot, and that does not give enough time for the edge of this carrier sheet to leave the indentation. But we still have to go back and apply for the full duration. So I'm going to take my parchment paper, cover this up, and press for an entire 12 seconds. That's going to cure each layer that I press, make sure that it's properly bonded to the garment, and we should be good to go. Okay, so check that out. 5 colors. How does that look? Sweet. 5 colors layered on top of one another. Again, I press it for the full duration. I know the placement is weird because again, we're going to cruise on to the next one. But I just wanted to show you the ease of use, how fast it was to use 5 colors of Easy Weed, apply it all together. Took 20 seconds for the application with the heat press. And that's what you get. Pretty awesome, right? Okay. Any questions? Feel free to leave them in the comment section. Keep cruising. We're going to move on to next. Mixing different Siser materials. Now again, if you are unsure of which products can be layered, feel free to ask us at any time. Today, for this mixing of medias, I have more Easy Weed. I'm also using Easy Weed Electric colors there, and then I'm also going to be incorporating our Strip Lock Pro, which is a fantastic product. If you've never used this, it is a much thicker product than the Easy Weed family, so that's why I'm trying to explain. Make sure you do your test cuts when you're doing your cutting, because if you've cut Easy Weed, you can't just move over to Strip Lock Pro and get a successful cut. You have to make sure you set up your blade correctly, your depth, your cut force, all that stuff. But we're going to be mixing these together. So we're going to do essentially the same exact process by starting with one color and kind of working our way down. And we are going to still be layering. Because again, I'm using Easy Weed Electric. And like I said in the beginning, anything with Easy Weed before the name, you can layer it. And it can be layered on. So I'm going to start with Easy Weed Electric as my first layer. And just like the first one, all it takes, 1 second tack, hot peel. Now this is Easy Weed Electric. Also another thing to remember is if you need to, adjust your temperature. Because if you're mixing materials that might have a higher temperature in it, you want to make sure you kind of find that middle ground. So for Easy Weed we're at 305 degrees, and now I am incorporating Strip Lock Pro, so I have to make sure that I up my temperature to about 312 degrees. Now that's finding the middle ground. So Easy Weed and all the Easy Weed family is at 305 degrees, and let's say Strip Lock Pro is at 320 degrees. Instead of toggling between 2 different temperatures, I'm going to go right in the middle of those and use that on my heat press. So that is completely okay. But again, if you're using a home iron, make sure that you do that adjustment with your temperature when it comes time to apply your Strip Lock Pro or glitter or holographic or any product that might be at a higher application. All right, so I tack down my Easy Weed Electric layer. Now I'm going to layer another Easy Weed Electric directly on top of it. Do the same exact process as I did with the regular Easy Weed. Tack that for a second. Hot peel. And once you get in the groove of it, you can kind of cruise through it. So another Easy Weed Electric. And since I did 3 colors there, and the same thing as I was saying before, the 1 second is alleviating any kind of creasing that might happen from the top layer of that carrier sheet. So that top layer might be leaving indentations. If you hold it too long, you got too much pressure. If you've been asking yourself, why is this happening or why has that happened? That is usually the cause of any kind of creasing or any kind of lines you see in your bottom layers. So 1 second tack for this. Actually, the black color I'm using here is our Easy Weed Matte Black. So we also have a product line, because I know for those that do know our Easy Weed line, it does have a semi-gloss finish. So what we did is we took that line and created another one called Easy Weed Matte. So we have a handful of your popular colors in the matte option in case you didn't want that semi-gloss finish. So that's what I'm using here. And then my last layer though is the Strip Lock Pro. But here's where it kind of changes, because Strip Lock Pro is a hot peel. That is the benefit of this product, but it's not a 1 second tack kind of application. So we still have to actually press this. I'm going to press it for about 4 or 5 seconds. It's not as fast as Easy Weed, but you still want to make sure that you get enough pressure in the initial application. So again, that's the big benefit of our Strip Lock Pro. It is a hot peel, but it isn't a quick application like the 1 second tack. So I have all 5 colors here. Again, I have to go back, make sure I apply for the full duration, and that's about 12 seconds. Again, I had to adjust my temperature to 312 degrees, split the difference on that temperature for this application. And there you go. So now you have 2 of the exact same designs, but you see the difference in mixing medias. With Easy Weed Electric colors, you have the Easy Weed Matte Black, as well as a Strip Lock Pro. And again, if you've never played with the Strip Lock Pro, it is a nice suede kind of velvety feel to it. It is a layerable product too. So for those that haven't used it, if you wanted to layer on top of Strip Lock Pro, you can do that. So it is a very unique option for this line. All right, so we have one more. I'm going to apply this upside down. Getting risky here. Okay. The last is going to be talking about the knockout method. Now, I can tell you here, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that are fans of our glitter heat transfer vinyl, as well as our holographic. You cannot layer anything over glitter heat transfer vinyl. It is not recommended. I know there's probably a ton of you out there that have done it before and have had success. But we want to make sure that it is a long-term success for you. So we do not advise layering anything over glitter or anything over holographic, which are the 2 products that we're going to be knocking out in this next application. So I am going to be working with 4 different glitter colors and then a holographic color to mix into it. Now, what I mean by the knockout method is you just saw 2 applications where I applied directly on top of one another. With the knockout method, what I mean is I basically created cavities to where you would layer it. So all my previous applications with the black layer here, it was one solid piece. But this is now created with cavities within it, so when I take my glitter layer, I can piece it directly inside the holographic transfer. So now it gives the illusion that it's layered, but it's actually knocked out. And that's what we mean by that. So what it is that each transfer I'm going to apply today is actually being applied onto the garment. So nothing is actually being layered over one another. So this part of your initial setup is going to have to take place in Silhouette Studio or whatever graphic software you're using. So you have to know how to kind of intersect and create the artwork so that it's like this, so when you send it to the cutter, it cuts correctly. So I have all my pieces ready to go, and just because I might as well just keep following the same process, but it's a little bit different than the one before, because again, my first layer was a solid piece, and I'm doing this upside down, so this will be fun. All right, so I'm going to start with the purple layer, and again, it's a little different, but what's another benefit of the Siser glitter as well is that we only need to tack this down for a couple seconds, and you can peel hot. So it's still a fast application with the glitter. And I'm just going to, again, now my second layer here I am placing it inside the purple layer. So nothing is actually being layered on top of one another. And tack that for 2 seconds and peel hot. Do the same for the orange layer. Okay, now here's where it could be tricky, because you have to, now if I do the holographic first, I have to remember to leave a little gap for the glitter, which I'll do that just to show you. But another thing to remember is you just saw me do 3 colors of glitter with a hot peel. The difference now is that holographic is a cold peel. So I can't do a full or 2-second application tack and then peel hot. So I'm gonna actually press this for more like 8 seconds about, because this is gonna take a little bit more to apply. But I also don't want to leave it on the heat press because it's not going to cool down. So I'm actually going to take this off and kind of bump it up against the spot I'm working on. It's very important to give it some time to cool down before you peel the carrier sheet for holographic. You should have no problem peeling it. Okay, so that looks great. Now we can go back to the heat press and apply our last layer, which is one more layer of glitter, but again, it goes right inside the holographic. I'm just going to tack that for a couple seconds. Now apply the entire thing for the 12 seconds. This is going to cure each one of those layers. Very important to do this last step. If you're using a heat press and you're doing the 1-second tack, you have to make sure you go back and do a full application. All right, so there are 3 awesome different options. Again, the placement is just very random, I get it, but I just wanted to show you all a difference in how you can use Siser heat transfer vinyls to use the same design but have multiple outlooks for it and outcomes for it, I should say, and show you the ease of use of product lines and kind of show you the diversification of each of them. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Any questions on this process, let me know. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more videos from us at Siser North America. If you're looking to get your hands on any Siser products, please contact your authorized Siser distributor or authorized Siser reseller. If you don't have one of those, please contact us at info@siserna.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have questions or anything, please make sure you leave them in the comments below. I'm Joe with Siser North America, and I'll see you all next time.